special guest,
Tom Bosworth.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Power Motion Picnic Hour. As always, I'm your host, Dave, and as always, alongside me, holding down his end of the bargain, 50% of the hosting duties, is...
Trevor.
Oh, Trevor, what's going on?
We just had an amazing interview.
Yeah, what a week. What a week over here at the Power Motion Picnic Hour. That was so great. The cat is out of the bag, as the kids like to say, when they're done monkeying around, that is. The cat is out of the bag. That this week's special guest was and is Tom Bosworth.
Tom Bosworth, world record holder, still holds the fastest ever time in a race walking mile, and many other race walking distances, and just a fantastic person and just a real pleasure to chat with him.
Yeah, that was so great. I did more research before this interview than I have for any other interviews previously, but I still learned a lot and had a great time talking to Tom, and that was so wonderful.
Well, he was our first Olympian. We had to step up the game slightly, so to speak.
Exactly.
And no prior connection. So I just think it was just so cool of Tom to jump at our request and join us for a conversation that we know the listeners will all love.
Yeah, Tom joined us for a great conversation. He's gonna join us for next week's Community Mile. The Community Mile is actually probably only going to be a day or two after this episode's released. So the upcoming Community Mile. But I guess no need to tease it further. Maybe we should just go right to our talk with Tom.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Yeah, no, we're not too hardcore about the quality, as long as it's, decent enough so people can enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, of course.
And if we have any dropouts or anything, we can get creative with the editing and get kind of make it an avant-garde podcast.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to have you here. We like to kick off our interviews by having our guests introduce themselves and just say their name, and if they want anything else they'd like to say about themselves.
Okay, well, yeah, my name is Tom Bosworth. I am British, as you can probably tell from my accent, and I am an Olympic athlete and have done some various achievements in the mad world of race walking.
And you've done some quite significant achievements. So we first came to learn of you, Tom, when we were just curious, what is the fastest race walking time? And your name popped up right away. Since learned that you also hold many records at other distances, correct?
Yeah, basically from the mile all the way up to 20K, whether some of them are world records and some of them are just the British records. So I shouldn't say British records.
Just a British record, defeating millions and millions of possible competitors. What was it? We had a special guest on whose father had their high school record for the race walking mile, which is what piqued our interest in it. Yeah. And I think we've been planning this local 1 mile race event, and I think I was wondering if I could possibly run faster than a race walking mile world record.
Nice. I'm sure you can.
Oh, I don't think I can, but we're gonna test it. We're gonna test it anyway. Because I had no idea what the time was when we brought it up. How did you get into race walking originally?
I joined a local athletics club. I was 11 years old, and so I went down to the track. I kind of I always loved sport as a kid, but I never really thought it was for me. I'm scrawny, I've always been really skinny, so kind of the sports in England are football, soccer and rugby. And they kind of I really enjoyed doing it, but I just got beaten to a pulp as a kid. So when I found track, it was, I could go as fast or as slow as I wanted, and I just could enjoy it for what it was. And I tried running, and then, there happened to be this race walk coach there, which down in the south of England, there's quite a few at the athletics club. So, I started off and I was awful at it, but I just did it for fun and nothing more. And I think my parents just enjoyed the break when I'm not there. And I just trained once or twice, and that was it. And never ever ever would I have dreamt it would have taken me where it has.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, what a crazy journey. I was a scrawny kid, so
Yeah,
I can relate. And I
you
played a
get
lot.
it. You get it.
Oh yeah, and at some point I was just talking about this when I was like 11. I quit uh football, or what what we call soccer, to play American football, which was a terrible
Okay.
choice. The scrawniness is exploited even worse. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and that one, yeah, I probably should have quit and started doing track. Yeah, we didn't have race walking where I grew up, so I was surprised to learn about our previous guest whose father did it in, I think, in Queens, New York. So in New York City, they had race walking.
Yeah, and this was probably, what would that have been, the 60s maybe? So this was our first special guest, actually, Pierce Lydon. They are the 2022 New York City non-binary runner of the year, and they told us about race walking, and that led us down this path to us ultimately reaching out to you, Tom, just sort of out of the blue, and just so appreciate that you responded. And I think our initial request was to see if you wanted to participate in the community mile, which we would still love for you to do if you're game. It's next Tuesday the 12th, and we have the live event in New York, as you know, but also taking self-reported times from all over the world. So I guess that's your official invitation.
I'm sure I can get out for a mile, that's for sure.
And will you run, or will you race walk, or will you ambulate another way? That's another thing. We're sort of open to any form of ambulation for this particular event.
Okay, nice. No, right now I'd probably run it. So I retired race walking 12 months ago, pretty much to the day. And
Wow. Okay.
so it's been a bit of a transition for me over the last 12 months, going out of living an athlete lifestyle where your whole day and life is dedicated to one thing. So it's been quite strange, but I was almost forced, I guess, into retirement a little bit through injury. And my lower back was in a bad way. Ended up with injections, facet joint injections in my spine, and an epidural and all sorts. And the doctor just said to me, "Look, Tom, you've worn your body away. You need to take good care of yourself and consider how much longer you're going to do it." And I was going to go on to Paris 2024, do a third Olympics, but I wasn't going to be competitive. And having been at the front of races, I don't want to be there just to make up the numbers. So I thought I could get way more out of life now at this point, and I've achieved more than I ever thought possible. So yeah, now I'm, when you train twice a day, you're addicted to exercise. So I'm still running now most days. I go to the gym every day. I'm trying to turn myself from a scrawny athlete to a slightly less scrawny non-athlete now. So yeah, but I still end up randomly running 10 miles on a Sunday for fun and things like that. But I do enjoy it, because it's important to say that, because I don't do it because I feel like I need to anymore. And if it's raining outside, which is a lot in England, it rains a lot. Yeah. I go, nah, I'm going to stay in bed.
This was a question. So we have sort of an active listening community, and somebody was curious, and can you run faster than your race walking mile?
Well, I'd like to think so, but it's 5:31 at the end of the day, which is
fast.
It's you've got to go through a kilometer in about 3:28 or something. So yeah, I don't know right now either, because obviously
you will find out at the community mile.
There you go. I am actually trying, and I'm doing a little bit of a series on my social media about trying to run a half marathon quicker than I used to walk it, which I might change to like 5K, because I've got to average that 3:58 a kilometer for 21 kilometers. And I've only just kind of started to acknowledge how mad and how fast my old sport and livelihood was. So
and what
when
was
people
your
say
half?
they can't, half was I've got to do it in basically 1 hour 23 and a half to run it faster than I used to walk it.
That's fast.
So, that's really fast.
I mean, yeah, it's mad. It is mad.
Yeah, when we first thought to look up the world record for a race walking mile time, we knew it would be fast, but it was it was very fast. It was a lot faster, I think, than we thought, which was cool to find out. I watched recently you shared, I think, on your Instagram. Um, you did, what was it, a 1 kilometer race walking against a runner?
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
was
that was
that was to see
awesome.
if they could not lap you? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. So we were just at one of the Diamond Leagues last year. No, last year, 2018. Um, I kind of, after I had a bit of a breakthrough race at the Rio Olympics and I finished sixth and I broke the British record. And I kind of went to some of the big meet directors and said, "Can you put race walking on, in Britain? Because if you had another athlete in a different event that finished in the top 8, that was so up there, you'd kind of, they'd be promoted. They would have a 1500 meters or 100 meters or the pole vault or whatever it is." So at London Diamond League in 2017, they agreed and they said, "Yeah, okay, we're going to do it." And this is how the mile came around. And believe it or not, the miles actually competed quite a lot. Mile and 3K, kind of short track events, easy to fit into meets, quick, and they're
Mhm.
over. So it's quite. I was like, "Yeah, this sounds awesome fun." And they were like, "Well, you have to break the world record." And I was like, "Oh, well, you have to go off and try and break the
Yeah.
world record if you want to do it. That's what we're going to advertise it as." And I was like, "Oh God, okay." But I'm always up for a challenge, so let's do it. And it obviously worked well. So the following year, we were like coming up with ideas. We did a couple of indoor races, and then they said, "We want to do something fun with it and demonstrate just how fast you guys walk." So we were going to do it. It was actually originally going to be against Mo Farah, but he was kind of announcing his first retirement then, so it was running a different race. And a good mate of mine, he's pretty much a pro runner. They asked him to do it, and we thought we could get sort of a normal level runner in, and we have a race, us against. But we actually thought, how can we make it? That was quite hard to predict. To find somebody who could run a kilometer in about 3:28 has to
Yeah.
be quite fit. So they'd
Mhm.
probably be able to outkick me because of the technique. So they're like, it's not gonna quite work or be as impressive. So they got Adam in to see if he'd run 3.5 laps, and I walked 2.5 laps to see if he could catch me, and he didn't quite. So it worked out really well. So
That's great.
yeah,
It was a great ending. I recommend anyone go back and watch it. I think as you're rounding the last curve, right? You get to the last straightaway, you do a little look over your shoulder.
yeah. And we knew what we had to do. We had to totally play it up for cameras as well. We discussed a bit of a plan and how because when we were doing it, the first 2 laps in the crowd, people were like, "We don't really know what we're watching here.
Yeah,
There's one
yeah. What's
guy
going
walking,
on?
and there's one guy running." And then in the last lap, as it was like he's chasing me down, it was great. So yeah, that video went viral because race walking often does. My TikTok blows up all the time because they're like, "What is this?" Some people are really impressed. Other people just like they don't get the sport, and they often can be quite derogatory. And I'm just like, don't sort of pass comment on something until you really understand it. But
Yeah.
that's what I like about these videos, because then some people are quite cool about it and they go, or other people explain the rules or say, "Oh man, this is actually way harder than you realize," and then people like start to respect it way more, and they see the times and they go, "What? That's mad."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I do it, and I keep just trying to promote the event.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's just like any other sport or any other event. Once you understand it and kind of get into it, it's exciting in its own way. I actually think that's kind of a great event, the 3.5 to 2.5 lap, because
Yeah,
that's kind of just like a crazy moment at the end, as like as you could really see when you looked over your shoulder that someone is kind of, how far are they? Like, am I going
yeah,
to get caught? It's kind of a cool moment.
It's
Um,
very
yeah,
cool. It's also just like a cool like party trick to you could effectively walk into, I'm sure, most pubs and beat almost anybody in there walking versus run as fast as you can and pick a distance and you'll likely beat them. I think it would be fair
I've
to say.
I've I've had a lot of free pints by going down those lines. It's like, outside, let's go from this lamppost to that one and see who can get there quicker. And no one ever believes it. And the trouble is now, very occasionally, people go, "Oh, no, I've seen you online, or I saw you on telly." I
yeah.
was like, "No, I'm not doing that." So occasionally I get recognized, but only very occasionally.
I never even
Well,
thought about that. Yeah, yeah. I guess you're gonna have to start like doing it somewhere farther away, like the way
Yeah.
when Sacha Baron Cohen had to come to America to get
Oh
people
yeah.
who didn't know who he was. You're gonna have to do that. I didn't even
Yeah,
think
nice.
I didn't even think
yeah.
about it as a bar trick. I have a friend who she's like she can out wall sit like anybody, and she'll,
Oh, really?
yeah, like she can wall sit just forever, and she'll challenge in a bar. She'll go up to like the toughest looking, biggest, strongest gym looking guy and challenge
Yeah.
him. And I've never seen her lose. And
Nice.
she'll always be up there for like she'll be doing it for minutes. And finally, when they're about to crap out, she'll usually have one of her friends come over to her and sit on her lap. And then she can still do it.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. This is
Nice.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I never thought about race walking as a bar trick.
My mates
So
use it more than
Yeah.
I do. They're like, this guy can walk faster than you can run and this sort of thing. And then all the time, the phones are out, filming it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, yeah, no, you're a serious athlete. They're just a bunch of goofballs at a pub.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're definitely a bit of a celebrity in our little world of the Power Motion Picnic Hour podcast, and we haven't told many of the listeners that we were having you on. Just wanted to make sure it went down, and I think a lot of people are going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Oh, great! Thank you.
So thanks
Yeah, no,
again.
I did
so,
tell I
so
did
pleased.
tell I did tell one friend yesterday, like one friend who's a regular listener, and he was beyond thrilled. So, but
Oh, awesome!
yeah,
Oh, I'm delighted.
but we didn't even tease it to most of the audience. We wanted them to just, when it downloads to their smartwatch or
Yeah, yeah.
or whatever.
Out on a run.
Yeah, they're
Nice.
out on a run. They'll get it there. So
And now I'm not even sure for our community mile. I mean, we thought there's a couple people in this sphere that could probably do a faster than 5:31 mile, but we're not sure if they're participating. And now that you're not sure if you can outrun that, your race walking time might actually win the community mile, because that's our benchmark. There's sort of the two measures of faster or slower than that, and then we also put in a level of enjoyment factor. So even the people doing sort of like our moms, for example, who are planning to just walk a mile, if they have just a blast out there, we want them to be in contention too.
they could win. Yeah, if they have by far the most fun. Even with their non-race walking pace, regular old school walking.
Yeah. I actually tried race walking. I went for a short run earlier today, and I had seen one of your videos as well, sort of explaining, and I should probably put race walking in quotes, because if you saw it, you would have said that, something off about that race walker's form. But I tried the straight leg heel strike hit, and there's something about the motion that because I went from sort of a jog into a race walk, and the cadence kind of like you sort of pick up the cadence a little bit, like it sort of forces you to go sort of fast.
Yeah, and so the technique is especially if you run, the technique is really hard to pick up to start with. And what you probably find is, even though your stride and as you say, your cadence will pick up, your time obviously slows down, and that can be quite frustrating. And often people go, "Oh, I don't feel like I've worked quite as hard, but my shins are hurting, my legs are hurting, or whatever." So when you start, it can be quite frustrating, because that straight leg motion is just so unnatural. It's so it's basically the reason we get to a limit, because there is an absolute speed limit, and I'll explain in a minute why I could get to the speeds I could. Whereas then you'll ultimately break into a run. Because when we used to do VO2 max testing, we would do VO2 peak testing, because I could still go on another level, but my technique would go, and it would be, I'd just be running at that point.
Wait, what is that VO2? Whatever you just said.
So like VO2 max is obviously you're on a treadmill and you're smashing it until the speed keeps increasing, and often the incline keeps increasing, and they're measuring everything that's coming out of you, oxygen, all sorts, CO2. So VO2 peak is kind of the point before you would basically be nearly dead at the end of the, and you can't do any more.
Okay,
it's where for us it would have been, where does the race walk technique fall apart? Just before then, that's our peak. So, but for me, if you watch some of my videos, you see my technique, and if you pause it, sometimes my leg is bowed backwards. It looks gross, and I kind of totally understand why I have so many tendon, ligament, nerve issues as a result. But it basically acted like an elastic band, so I could, my turnover was insane. A rival of mine used to say, I could never do the speeds you you do on the shorter stuff, because he's so opposite to me. He's all muscle, powerful turnover. I'm just spring, which is why I could walk the track times. I did 18-minute 5K, and the 3K 10:30. But then I would struggle because over the 20K distance, which was the international distance, and I'd have to really pace myself slightly different, because I know that would become worn out as the race went on. And as soon as that spring goes, I lose my pace. So I had to really pace myself differently. But I love the track stuff because I could just go so fast.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so it's sort of an extreme, would you call it like mechanical efficiency or something like that?
Yeah, because people say, oh, they don't really get the technique sometimes. Why does it make it? It's just running with a straight leg. And I get what people are saying sometimes. But if you go out and you just walk fast, if you need to, you're late and you're just walking fast, you naturally reach out in front of you, land on your heel with a kind of straight leg. So it is just the most extreme version of walking. And when you break that down to people, they kind of understand it. And the other bit of the other rule, straight leg, and then you have to have one foot on the ground at all times. And again, we get slated all the time. There's pictures of us having both feet off the ground, and people say, "Oh, everyone's running," all this sort of thing. And again, I have to explain to people they purposely do it for visible loss of contact. Because I say to somebody, imagine doing a 20K Olympic race and you basically do about 20,000 steps in that, and you can't have any more than 3 steps off the ground, otherwise you will get disqualified. It's just impossible to do that just through pure error, human error. There will naturally be more than 3 steps in 20,000. And biomechanically, they've done some tests. Actually, they did it at the uni I was at, and it showed there's no advantage for the athlete having both feet off the ground until it becomes visible, until it basically becomes too much. It's clearly running. So that's why the rules have been as they have been for years and years and years. But people often don't understand that, and you're not going to sit there and explain that to every muppet on social media. But again,
who's got the time?
yeah. So
I think that's, with all the technology, and there's a lot of debate in a bunch of sports about that, is sort of like, but I think I'm always generally in the camp of leave some human discretion. Like, even if you could get it down to a super exact science and use tech, like, it's not really the point, right?
It really isn't. It's, in our event, judges have to be of a certain level before they can, judge internationally. It works at a high level, and you just would take the fun away, let alone the costs. If you keep bringing technology into all sports, it's fine in big sports that have loads of money, but track and field doesn't. You keep bringing in more and more tech, and you're just killing it.
I don't trust the robots anyway. I've been watching the U.S. Open, and everything there is now like, but they keep calling phantom lets. They keep calling things lets that everyone is like, that's not a let, and it's like, there goes the robot again.
The same thing's happening here in our Premier League in football. VAR is it's just controversy after controversy.
I've been watching a lot. Yeah.
It's so tech just doesn't always work either. So
who's your team? Who do you support in the Premier League?
Well, actually, during COVID, I worked at Everton, which is up in Liverpool, or just and they are big rivals of Liverpool, but they're not any good.
No, they're in the relegation zone right now
all the time. I know, but so I've kind of become attached to them because they were a great club to work at.
That's cool.
And just really nice people, and do a lot in the community as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of my team for my sins.
That's it's a tough one. I actually watched their last game last season when they just avoided relegation, and now they're setting up for the same kind of drama this year. I'm actually wearing a shirt that I bought in Liverpool.
Oh, nice.
Paul McCartney.
Is it? Oh, Paul McCartney. Nice. The Beatles. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, wait, where were we before? We go on a lot of tangents on this show.
We were on robots. We were on
that's a tangent too, almost.
Use of technology. So I did want to ask, and feel free to get into it or not. This is, again, very open forum, Tom, but sort of loved looking more into your background. Two things: you've been very vocal. So one, you're an absolute world-class athlete, top of your sport, maybe retired now, but you are world record holder across multiple dimensions. And I just love that you've been so vocal about mental health and the impact that sort of the training regimen had at your peak, as one aspect, and then secondarily about just inclusion and diversity in sport. And I think the fact that you've sort of just been so out there with those things, we love that. So one, I guess, just wanted to commend you for it, and if there's anything you want to comment on in those areas, give you the floor for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've just always lived quite openly, really, since I came to sort of terms with who I was and who I am, and everybody's journey is slightly different with those sorts of things. And to be honest, I've always just been, I've never sort of seen the issue of speaking about these things to anybody, and I just think that's good anyway. And we're in an era now where that's being championed and is encouraged. So, none of it was really done on purpose or it was just me. I've just been me, and as my profile's risen, and I've had a bit more attention and things like that. These things become news stories and stuff, which is a little bit sad, but it's important as well, especially on the mental health side of things. Within sport right now, we're seeing so much, because again, it's like when people talk about race walking, give it a go and just see how hard it is, and then consider walking 5K in 18 minutes. Right. It's the same with it. There is nothing like living as an athlete in any other walk of life, I don't think, because every aspect of your life will hinder or benefit your performance, whether that's sleep, whether that's socializing, whether that's you're able to train or not, injuries, illness, what you eat, all of this stuff. And for day in, day out, we sometimes had 3 or 4 weeks off at the end of each summer. So in September will be our break, and then we'd just start again. And again, it's not big sports where you're getting loads of money. I was so lucky to do it full time and earn enough money to do it full time. But that's it. It wasn't. I'm not driving around in a Lamborghini and with a mansion. I live a very, very normal life, and as I say, I totally appreciate being able to do it full time. But at the end of the day, if you want to succeed at that level, you have to do it full time. And athletes getting paid and things like that is such a necessity. Sport does so much for our society, and so yeah, I've just naturally always been quite open, and the fact that it has made a difference to some people's lives. I get some awesome messages online from all around the world when they stumble across my name or my profiles or saw some video online or something. It's awesome. It just, a lot of people will say, oh, you're putting yourself out there, make it a bit vulnerable, and or it might look like this, it might look like that. And I'm like, yeah, great. I still wake up every day and walk my dog and, be me. What they think doesn't really affect that at the end of the day when I close that door and then walk into the house. And yeah, that's why I'm just happy to keep banging the drum.
That's awesome. Aside from how difficult it might be for the dog to keep up on the walk. That's pretty great. Yeah, no, thank you. And we'll see if you get an extra bump, a small but devoted bump of followers from appearing on the Power Motion Picnic Hour.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, our fan base or our listener base, while small, is intense.
Nice. I find that with runners.
Yeah, it's probably similar to Everton. We are the Everton of running podcasts.
Running podcasts.
Yeah, always in risk of. You might not even know there's a lower zone you can get sent to with podcasting, but we're always at risk of getting sent there.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll push it. We'll push this hard then.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have an exciting end to the season, just like they did.
Yeah, we'll make Bobos regret failing to sponsor the mile and declining to fly you to New York and that whole madness.
I know. We'll see where that whole saga takes us. We did
ask, can't you?
We did ask Bobos to fly you in to come to the mile, and that's okay that they passed on this one. I get it. Yeah, I get it. That's fine. There's a lot of there's a lot of events and a lot of people being, requested to be shuttled around the world, and we'll have another one. And yeah, maybe at a future one. I don't know. Are you done race walking altogether, or would you, like, you're just not going to do
Yeah,
it
no,
anymore?
yeah, I still can do it, and obviously not to the level that I did, but no, I'm happy to do it. I do it quite a lot on social media. I do a lot of sort of
Okay.
training days, demonstrations, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it would hurt. I could probably walk I don't know, maybe a 25-minute
What do you
5K
what do you think you could do
big
in a mile
courses.
now?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd probably get close. 6.5,
So,
maybe.
I was gonna say, well, we're gonna see what I do at the community mile next week, but maybe for the next one, when we can sell Bobos on this, me running and you walking could be a race. And that
Yeah,
might,
nice.
depending on, we'll see I have no idea what my time's gonna look like. I haven't tried to run a mile like that's been timed since, like, I don't know, high school.
You'll have to give me a few months' notice so I can
Yeah.
get some training in.
No,
Get
we'll
some,
plan. Yeah.
yeah, you got to train up for it.
But maybe that'll end up being a good matchup.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. I'm excited to find out what I'm gonna run, and I haven't revealed my my strategy, but I have developed one. So that's a way.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got, it's similar to how we didn't tell our listeners that Tom was coming on the show. I haven't told anyone my strategy for the mile next week.
Been holding
Never
back.
do. Because then when it doesn't work out the way you planned, which it never does,
Nope.
nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's a great triumph, I can talk about it and talk about how brilliant I was. And I knew it was going to go like
There you
that.
go.
What's the longest race walking distance? Is it 20K?
Yeah, so it's the event, like the Olympics in general right now, is going through a lot of changes. So the two standard distances for years used to be 20K and 50K.
Mm,
I don't really know why they ended up, the distances have changed over the last 100 years,
okay.
from 10 miles, 30 miles, and women could only do 10K for many years and so on. But now going forwards, at every Olympics, there's a 20K for men and women, and there is going to be, we don't really know how it's going to work, but they're trying to jazz these things up. So they've taken the 50K out of the Olympics, which is a real shame because it used to be an absolute spectacle, especially the last 10K.
Mhm.
People have shit themselves, people
Yes.
have collapsed, people have, it's brutal.
It gets
to walk with that
intense.
technique. And the world record is something like 4:15 a kilometer for 50K walking. It's just disgusting. I never did one because it's wrong, but it was great. It was great entertainment. So, and I've seen somebody disqualified at 49K as well, which is why I love the walks, because in a marathon you don't have that jeopardy. You always have the jeopardy of being disqualified. So,
Wow. Yeah.
but they're doing like a
in the running world, that 50K is ultra. We call that an ultra distance.
Yeah. That's the start of it, isn't it? It's 8K more than a marathon, and so
Yeah.
but there's now at the World Championships there's 20K and there's 35K. So why that distance, nobody really knows. Little bit less time on the roads and TV time and that sort of thing, I guess. But at the Olympic Games, they're doing a 30. No, they're not. They're doing a marathon, race, walk, relay.
Huh.
Ooh. Like
So,
multiple marathons or like
no, 'cause
staged in different
it's-
like segments.
it's a guy and a girl from each country does 10K each. Yeah, they're going to do 10K each. This is why I don't think it's going to work. Guy goes first, then the girl, then the guy, then the girl. And yeah, I think one of them's at one point will walk 12K, so it works out at 42K. And there's going to be like 7 red cards across them both for the whole race or something like that. This is what I've heard on a grapevine.
Oh, wow.
Normally it's 3 red cards, then you end up in the penalty zone for 2 minutes, and if you get a 4th, you're disqualified. But it could be fun. Like, who knows? It could be really good watch. It could be a bit dramatic. So yeah,
I'm gonna tune in.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I watched I'm still talking about from the Tokyo Olympics, the mixed men and women's doubles ping pong match I saw between Japan and China. That's still one of the best sporting events I've ever seen. I was staying up way later than I should have been.
Nice.
Just couldn't turn it off, despite having to work in the morning. So maybe this will be mine for this year.
Yeah, nice. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the tip. Let's see. We are running a little low on time, but one thing we like to talk about on this show frequently is music and what kind of music we like to run to and what kind of music we like to walk to. So, do you run or race walk to music? And if so, do you have any favorites or recommendations?
I never did because training there was so much focus around training. But now I do. I run with music in, and I kind of just put Spotify on a bit of a shuffle for my songs, and then
Mm-hmm.
it throws in some ones that I don't always listen to, which is nice. And I've got a real mix. I could listen to 90s pop, to classical music, to you know indie music.
Mm-hmm.
I just love music, and I find it so inspiring. I love Hans Zimmer's running to Hans Zimmer, any of
Oh,
his sort of movie. What's the correct word for the pieces of music he
like
creates?
scoring, film
Scoring,
scoring.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like when you're running an Interstellar or Inception,
Oh, nice.
as this sort of music hits. So yeah, but I find I run slower with music because I'm distracted. So and I
Interesting.
lose my train of thought. And my Spotify also. I'm gonna write to Spotify and say that out of the months of from January through to October, Spotify should recognize a Christmas song
Okay.
and not play it because I was running on
Oh,
Sunday and I'd been out for 6K, so about 25 minutes, and three Christmas songs from all of my Spotify music played. And I was like, no. And I couldn't change it because I was feeling really unfit. So wasn't opening my phone whilst running along and
no way.
skipping it. So I was singing along to Jingle Bells or whatever it was, and I was fuming. And it was 28 degrees and baking hot,
Oh,
So
That would have to slow. Christmas music would slow me down so much. I feel like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like if
I
Christmas music came on, I would fall over.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sort of with you, Tom. I like to listen to like all kinds of music, whatever music makes me feel good generally, even if it's not
Mm.
like a fast tempo, like what you'd think of as running music. I'm all about it. Although recently I have tried Dave's technique of Dave's shared that he feels faster when he listens to music that he used to be really into when he was younger and like
Okay.
speedier, and sort of like
Yeah.
evoke that mental trigger or something. So I've tried some Nirvana, which was a big band
Oh, nice. Yeah.
in my youth, and I've been liking that recently as a running music.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess if it triggers something that reminds you of a good time, you're naturally in a better mood and you're probably going to run better. And but I remember listening to some music before I'd race, and it would always be pretty calming, or if like really depressing sort of music, but it just takes you into a total.
Mm-hmm.
I would get myself into a real good mental state there, and it wasn't so much about what was the lyrics; it was just the calming
Yeah, yeah,
music. And then as soon as the gun goes, it's just you're in a it's all out war.
that's awesome.
I always thought they should play music like more at sports. Like I the first time I saw my father after like the pandemic and lockdown, you didn't see people for a long time. We played tennis and we put on a Viagra Boys album, and mostly inspired
Okay.
because of the song Sports. I don't know if you know it, but it but we listened to the whole album and it was kind of awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
never heard that before, but yeah, great. If it
Yeah,
works, it works.
If
I
it
reckon.
works.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for tennis. I don't know if it would work for running. Maybe I'll test it out before the next episode, so we could,
Yeah.
yeah, we could get back to that one and not be accidentally recommending things that would hinder your performance, like Christmas music. Okay, I think we are just about running out of time. We have a countdown here, but yeah, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to say to our listeners before we bid you farewell?
No, just thank you for having me. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You seem to be doing great things. And I think community sport is so important. And having other people involved, regardless of how good you are, slow you are, fast, whatever it's about, celebrating each other's achievements is so good. And I'm just learning that now. And I'm starting to appreciate sport for what it should be, which is fun, fitness, um, going your own pace and just enjoying it. And always try something new. If I never tried race walking, then my life wouldn't have been here. So I think my message to people: keep saying yes, no matter where you are at life. Just
Awesome.
keep going.
We love that. That's perfect. That's perfectly aligned with our values here. And yeah, we look
Awesome.
forward we look forward to hearing how the community mile goes for you on September 12th, and
Yeah,
updating our listeners with that.
Thank
I'll
you.
stick it on my social media.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Wow, that was amazing. What a talk. Thank you again so much, Tom, for coming on and talking with us.
Yes, thank you, Tom. I mean, this is really just it's been a weeks long development going back to our first special guest, and the fact that Tom is able to join us at the Community Mile, put in a self-reported remote time from England, attempt to beat his own race walking mile time while running. In fact, this was a question from the mailbag a few weeks back, and to my surprise, he's not sure if he's going to be able to do it. So this is going to be a really interesting race.
The community mile was already very exciting, and now there's even more on the line. There's skin in the game, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Bobo's has UK distribution, but we'll try to figure out a way to make sure he ends up with one of the coveted free Bobos as advertised.
Yeah, it's an interesting wrinkle in the ongoing Bobo's relationship, possible future sponsorship discussion, and I guess now all I'd say to Bobo's is your move.
Your move, Bobos. Yeah. So let's see what else is going on. I guess as the community wraps up their training for the community mile, maybe do you want to talk about a little bit about, without getting into the strategy? We know now that this has been something you're holding back and will be unleashing on the Lindsay racetrack come Tuesday. But how's training for the mile been going?
So I do have a strategy that I'm not going to reveal, but training's been pretty good. I've been running outside shorter distances, although not that short, but I've done a couple 5K to 4 mile distances in the oppressive New York heat. So I've been training for the weather more than for the distance.
Heat training,
and I've also, there's gonna be a bit of unpredictability at the community mile since it is a guerrilla event.
It is, yeah,
not officially sanctioned by any city government or Oat Bar organization or anyone else. Just old school running around.
Yeah, not the times unfortunately will not go into the the USATF database. So if anyone does happen to make a record of in any of the categories, unfortunately it'll have to stand as unofficial.
Eligible in the category of local lore only.
Local lore only.
But I did train for the unpredictability a bit, because during my last 2 runs by the Hudson, I did run out onto the little island.
Oh, tell us about it. What were your impressions?
It's great. I mean, I went, midweek around lunchtime, so there were a lot of tourists there, but not as many as usual. The little island's kind of a good place to add into a little run, because
it is, right?
Yeah, because it's a hill. I didn't know that.
Hill.
It's a little hill. So I ran up to the top, and I ran and just threw that in the middle of my run, and my run's pretty flat, so it needed something like that. The second time I did it, I noticed that there's 2 hills there.
Oh, yeah. You can sort of wend your way through the little island.
So I did 2 of them, and there's actually 3 hills there. So next time I'm going to try to run all 3 hills around Little Island. But yeah, I kind of had to really, really make some moves around, the Italian tourists and the Swedish tourists, and the Chinese tourists, to who I don't know who was there. I was moving too fast to stop and ask them where they were visiting from.
Runner coming through.
Yeah,
on your left.
I know. I had to try to remember how to say "on your left" in as many languages as I could.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I think it would be amazing for you to do some like serious hill interval sort of repeat style workouts at the little island as everybody else is touristing, and you're just the local crushing the local hill.
I'm going to keep doing it until they ask me to stop coming. Is my plan, because there are people working there I think in some kind of city uniform.
Who is that local crusher? So this does remind me of a couple things actually too. So in the world of FKTs, fastest known times, there's this guy, Jordan Fields, bit of a local legend in the New England area. And he's set a number of like the most prominent sort of FKT routes in northern New England. So things like he held the Prezi Traverse for a while, I believe. He holds the Pemi Loop, which is a monster, although like there was a technicality that sort of made it supported versus unsupported. It's a whole crazy world, FKT world. But he's in recent, years or months, whatever it is, he's kind of pulled back from the idea of going, for sort of these official, documented records. And he ran something recently called the Dartmouth 50. Hanover, and the listener can look it up to see the exact route, but it's a 50-mile route. Dartmouth students do it every year, I guess. It's this like really, it's like seeped in local lore, and there are these like talks of people having done it in certain times, like in the 70s and stuff. And so he went and did this, but has chosen just to not make the time official, not like, and he sort of, I thought it was a cool attitude to say kind of like, who am I to say this was the fastest time when this has only been a recent thing to start tracking it like this. So
who knows?
I thought it was pretty cool for somebody that hardcore and that good of a runner to sort of, abandon, like, it's like the next step, past the type of running we've been talking about recently, which is just doing it for fun, not doing it for stats, like moving away from Strava, all that. So good for Jordan.
And I'm gonna adopt that same approach with the community mile if my plan doesn't go according to plan. I will also not be reporting. No, I'll report no matter what. But yeah, that is exciting to hear. There was no video of Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game.
Right. So yeah,
there's just I love that so much. There's just a picture of him holding a piece of paper that they wrote 100 on.
Long live the lore. When we stop paying our RSS subscription, the whole community, the whole Power Motion Picnic Hour will just be a legend in the world of podcasting.
For a long time, our college radio station, which I won't name, that used to host the original live terrestrial completely music-based version of the Power Motion Picnic Hour, they had all of our playlists listed, and they were up for years.
Wow.
I used to go back sometimes and look at it, and but that it got taken down. I don't know when. I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So that's also just local legend and local lore. And if somebody tells you they know what we played on, on March 12th, 2002, you just got to take them at their word.
Yeah. For all we know, that could have been the night that we put on the Langley School's music project on repeat and went back to one of our dorm rooms to listen to it.
Because we wanted to listen to this. That was actually maybe the best, in the local lore edition of Power Motion Picnic Hour episodes. The best one was one where we went home and listened to it. And we just put it on autopilot. It was a great episode.
It was a good episode.
Yeah. And that even might be an impromptu song of the week. From the Langley School Music Project, Innocence and Despair.
Yes.
Great album title.
Nice job with the subtitle.
Which song should we include? I kind of like, I always like Desperado.
Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out running fences so long now. Oh, you're a hard one, but I know that you've got your reasons. There's things that are pleasing you and hurt you somehow.
Desperado is pretty classic.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some really good, slightly out of sync drumming throughout the album, but especially maybe on that one because the pace is such that it's really like really stands out. What's the Major Tom? What's the
Space Oddity?
Space Oddity. That's a good one.
I was thinking of that one, and I think Good Vibrations maybe.
Yep.
And of course, The Long and Winding Road. Since I am wearing my Wings shirt this week.
Oh, yes.
I bought I did buy it in Liverpool, and this one goes out to Tom and all the other Everton supporters out there.
Were you wearing it specifically in honor of Tom, or was that just a coincidence?
Just grabbed it. Just grabbed it off the shelf when I woke up. So didn't even think about it.
Just serendipitous would be the word.
I wear this shirt like 3 days a week. But yeah, high probability serendipity.
I guess would be remiss as a popular running podcast to not just give a quick breakdown as other trail running focused podcasts have done well ahead of whenever this episode will be released. But just a quick UTMB recap to say huge congrats to Courtney Dauwalter for her triple play or hat trick or whatever you want to call it. First at Western States, Hard Rock, and now UTMB, first ever. I don't see that happening again anytime soon until the next Courtney comes around. So that's just an absolutely outstanding athletic accomplishment. Jim
probably,
Walms,
I was going to say, and probably the greatest athletic accomplishment with an inseam that long since something from the NBA 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Jim Walmsley, first American man to win the UTMB 100 miler, and he worked very hard. He actually moved to France and has been training there with legendary Francois Dane for the past several years. And he's had many attempts that have all gone, sideways or poorly in one way or another. And so such just a hard-earned accomplishment for Jim. And a shout out to Power Motion Picnic Hour favorite, Katie Scheid, last year's 100 miler winner for her 50K second place. Just remarkable. What's the word we're looking for here? But the ability to run sort of those two distances, 50K being short in that world, all the way up to 100 miler at podium pace is remarkable.
It's great versatility, and I would versatility, and I would be remiss, I think, if I didn't say that some credit goes to the amazing strength created by our community here.
Yes.
The Power Motion Picnic Hour. I don't want to take too much credit.
No, but it's worth noting.
Yeah, just a footnote. I think that's probably just about it, right?
I think we got a lot more to cover next week. I think our next pod will be coming. It will certainly be released after the community mile takes place. So we'll have a lot to talk about then. But for this week, I mean, Tom was the highlight. One of the highlights of the podcast history, our storied 23-year history of the Power Motion Picnic Hour.
Best episode since Langley School.
That's right. So yeah, hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you again, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Everyone else, don't forget to sign up online for the community mile, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 12th, the John Lindsay track, and also anywhere else you want to do it. And please report your times and report your level of enjoyment, so we can find out how much fun you had, and we'll tell you how much fun we had as well.
It'll be so fun opening the mailbag afterwards.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait to hear how much fun the brand ambassadors at Bobo's had. So looking forward to hearing from them and everyone else as well. Until next time,
onward.
Special guest.
I am British.
This is the Power Motion Picnic.